Speculation came out the last couple of weeks, really last 3 weeks, as we start on it, was Brian Kelly, LSU head coach, former LSU head coach Brian Kelly. Was he going to reduce his buyout and come to some sort of settlement agreement with LSU? Well, that seems like that is not remotely close to being likely, as Brian Kelly has advised LSU through his attorneys that they are going to be seeking all of the money that he's owed. You know, I think of this situation in a lot of ways and say to myself, did we ever really think that Brian Kelly was ever going to back down from not trying to get the money that he was technically and contractually owed? Like, I legitimately ask that. I legitimately ask myself, did we ever think that there was a time that he was going to be in a situation where he was going to back down from $53 million that was his God-given right to pursue? Guys, there was no way that his attorneys or anyone was going to allow him to back down. Now, in case you don't know what I'm referring to, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate reporting that Brian Kelly's attorneys sent to LSU that they are expecting to be paid in full of the $53, close to $54 million that he's owed. And guys, unless this thing gets really nasty and really ugly, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. Whether you like it, you don't like it, you believe that he deserves it or not, contractually, you went into an agreement with him that if you fired him, that you owed him that money. And don't act like any of you, being in his situation, would not do the same exact thing that he's currently doing. Both know that if being in his situation and your employer fired you and you had a deal with them that they had to pay you out the entire contract, that you would want your money, whether it's LSU or not. Blake, I love LSU. I wouldn't do that. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. You know how I know? Give me half of your paycheck this Friday. Why not? You're sitting here watching the show. Give me half of it just because. What if I say something tonight that you don't agree with? Still got to pay me. Guys, I do think that this one's going to be get uglier before it gets any better here, unless LSU just agrees to paying out what they contractually owe the man. Now, here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that LSU tried to wiggle their way out of this. When they fired Brian Kelly so many Sundays ago, LSU was trying to find a way to wiggle themselves out of and getting out of the money that they owed Brian Kelly. I would assume, based off of just pure rumors that I have heard, I would assume that they try to threaten him in so many ways. Maybe things that Brian Kelly did or didn't do. They tried to get that buyout as far down as they could. And I think Brian Kelly's attorneys told LSU, well, then bring it. Bring it on them. Because the bottom line truth of all of this is, if you want to get ugly, it does not benefit you. It only hurts you in the process of looking for a new coach. LSU made a bluff to Brian Kelly when they said that they were going to, I would assume, some things behind closed doors and threatening him, that they said, bring it. Why else would you be negotiating it? Because LSU and Brian Kelly are currently negotiating his buyout at the current moment. What do you think happens in negotiations? What does LSU have on Brian Kelly to where they felt like that they had any form of a deal to where they could negotiate with him to pay him what Wilson Alexander reports, nearly half? Now, I will tell you what I've heard, and this, I can't confirm this. This is just what I heard. I heard that there was a lot of legitimacy to the Brian Kelly report that Jacques Doucette put out. Now, I never heard that he accepted it. And I went on Jacques' show and stated as much. I didn't hear that he had accepted the $27 million. I heard he was offered a lump sum $27 million. I can't confirm that. They try to give him about half. A little bit, yeah, try to give him half. 27 of the 54, and it's going to backfire unless LSU wants to get dirty with this one. The fact of the matter is, I don't know if you do want to get dirty in this one. What does it show a current head coach that you're trying to go and get that you're doing behind the scenes? And I would assume, and we're going to talk about a hot board tonight of just some intel that I picked up, talked to a lot of people at the baseball game, the Southeastern LSU baseball game, which we'll talk about here tonight too. I think LSU's got questions from coaches currently of what is your NIL look now that you're paying Brian Kelly $53 million. Those are all questions that LSU's got to answer. They got to answer them, and they got to sell someone about them being okay. Because you can hate Brian Kelly, you can love Brian Kelly. I don't care what you think of Brian Kelly. You got in bed with him, and you're going to reap the benefits, or you're going to reap what you sow. I say benefits. There were real no benefits. You're going to reap what you sow here. It is what it is. If you want this one to get messy, by all means, go ahead and try. But it does nothing for no one after the governor did what he did with Wade Roos, walking back, playing the hokey pokey with Verge Alsbury. It does nothing for the status of the other than you showing that you are causing a circus around you by going and fighting this legally. Now, I don't want LSU paying him $54 million. For the record, I don't want LSU paying Brian Kelly $54 million not to coach. I don't want that. But I also don't want a circus that continues to hit front page news like what has happened to you the last 2 weeks. Because you have been a circus and front page news in the sport for the last 2 weeks. You threatened the man, and it backfired. Sorry. You threatened the man, and it backfired. That's on you that it backfired. Nevertheless, we're live. We're going to get into the Alabama-LSU game. We're going to recap it, talk about all the things that happened, talk about the game, recap the game as we're all able to go back and watching it. We're going to talk about Garrett Nussmeier being benched. Did Frank Wilson pull a fast one? Or did Frank Wilson try to pull a fast one today in his press conference saying that Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren are both going to play? What do I think about the situation? We'll talk about that as well, and we'll talk about just the overall situation involving Garrett Nussmeier. We'll talk about the defense and offense and break both of those down as well. We'll talk about Michael Van Buren's future here. Oh, and by the way, we got a hot board. Eli Drinkwitz lost this past Saturday to Texas A&M. He's going to be out of the playoffs. It's Eli Drinkwitz name going to start picking up here around LSU. We'll talk about some other things that I heard at the LSU baseball game here as well. Nevertheless, we are live. Do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Every AYS Sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Get over to FanDuel.com. Download the app today. If you're on Apple or Android iPhone. If you're on Android or Apple iPhone, download the FD Sportsbook app. This football season, we are proudly partnered by our good friends over at FanDuel. They are the number one sportsbook inside the state of Louisiana for a lot of reasons. Listen, want to hit those future parlays? Do you think that LSU is going to be able to cover the 5.5-point spread against Arkansas this week? Go over there to FanDuel and place that bet if you do. Listen, there's no better app, there's no better team, there's no better resource for betting than our good friends over at FanDuel. They put so many guardrails in place for you to go and just have fun. If you have any thoughts, questions, and concerns, go to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. Let's all go have fun together, but we're proudly partnered and powered by our good friends this season over at FanDuel. All right, let's get to a couple comments here. Oh, boy. Buck just made me yell in Ruffino and Joe show not too long ago, but he does send a $2 super chat. Buck, Thank you so much, my friend. He said, would LSU prefer an unknown or unknown for cheap at this point? Buck, that's a really good question. Yes and no. I think the administration would. I think that they would. The fan base would not. Listen, here's the truth of the matter. The fan base around LSU, by the way, Buck is an Ohio State fan. The LSU fan base wants Lane Kiffin, and Lane is not doing this fan base any favors. I'm sure a lot of you saw today in Lane Kiffin's press conference. He was asked in today's college football what makes a good job, and he basically did describe not only LSU, but he described Florida as well, about the NIL, the resources, the in-state talent, I mean, the Heismans, the national titles. I mean, he explained both of them. I will tell you, Buck, for me, money is not even an option. It's Lane Kiffin or bust for me. That's who I want. Personally, I don't know if LSU is going to be able to land him. Personally. So, a couple of personals there. I don't know if LSU is going to be able to land him there. Regardless of all that, I'm going to continue to ask and try to negotiate until he just ultimately tells me, no, I'm going somewhere else, or I'm staying at Ole Miss. I do find it ironic. Either he's just doing Jimmy Sexton a massive favor here and not signing the Ole Miss extension, or he really is going to be looking at other programs and institutions. The New York Giants gig came open today. Does he want to realign with Jackson Dart in New York? I think Lane is a college guy, personally, but we'll see. We'll see. Drunk Vigo says, here you go, Buck. Kiffin ain't going to LSU. Very well, he might not. Very well that he might not. Blake Morgan says, do you think Eli is worth a $10 million or better year contract? I don't know that. I don't think a lot of these coaches are worth $10 million, but guys, here's the truth. LSU is a $200 million gross entity per year. So if you're giving the CEO, which basically is what your head football coach is, $10 million a year for a $200 million gross business per year, I mean, guys, they didn't bat an eye when it came to firing Brian Kelly. I don't know if he's worth that. I don't think a lot of these guys are worth that, to be blunt with you. So we'll see. Toby Guidry says he was playing golf. Oh, yeah, he was definitely playing golf. He told us he was playing golf. Without a doubt. Kevin Stone, who's also a member on the YouTube channel. Yes, there's a couple of ways to get involved. Send in super chats or become a member of the YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate all of those who do. But Kevin Stone says, bro, give me $30 million as a lump sum, and I promise to God I could absolutely invest that and make way more than $54 million in 10 years. But here's the problem with that. The problem with the lump sum is even if he got 10%, even if he got a 10% return every year, which he's not, by the way, okay, it's still not $24 million that he also can invest. Because you can do the same shit with that and legitimately miss $24 million on the table, which, by the way, they got to give you $54 million in 6 years. In 6 years, they have to give you $54 million. To take a $30 million lump sum, I would assume does not make financial sense. If it made financial sense, I'm pretty sure they would have taken it. You're not going to get a 10% return every year. What's 10% of 30 million per year? I don't know the math. I'm sure they've done it though. I'm not walking away. I'm not walking away from it. You crazy. You crazy. Kick Booty says, Blake, you should open up a gift shop. I've been telling y'all this for years, man. If somebody wants to become a part of the AYS team and do merch for us, I don't want to do it. It's the reason why we have not done a lot of merch. I do not want to run it. I don't want to run it. It's just the truth. Rick on YouTube says Kiffin's son and daughter want to come, so why not let him come? Maybe so. Maybe so. Jacob Marceau says it's $3 million a year. So if he's got $30 million and he gets a 10% on his investment, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So let's say you got a 10%. You're still leaving $6 million on the table in 6 years. You see what I'm saying? So, like, we just did the math. So he's leaving $6 million more on the table. And you're not, in today's market, I don't know if y'all see it, at least I see it, you're not going to get a 10% return on shit. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You forgot compounding interest. Yeah, but you're talking about compounding interest. What if his money takes a dip? I'm only talking about the positives of the number one thing that could happen. What I would tell you is, what if the market takes a dip? You don't know the market, nor can any of us in here predict it, unless I guess that you do that for a living. I don't know. But I'm taking $54 million. I would assume that they've looked at this. I mean, what if the market tanks? I mean, guys, you're in a government shutdown right now. I mean, how are things going right now? No one knows what's going to happen in the market. I'm giving you 10% every single year. So what if we're off 3 or 4 million? I mean, you're still leaving money on the table that you still got to pay him in 6 years. Brother, he's getting paid $10 million a year, whether we like it or not. So, anyway, D. Smith says average gross fund compound interest is 10% annually. Let's see if he's correct. Gross fund, Google, gross fund annual returns last 10 years. Yeah, it is at, so in 2020 it was 5.49. In 2021 it was negative 6.95. In 2022 it was 1.57. In 2023 it was 19.2. And right now currently it sits under 8. So 5, so negative 1, 2, 19. And then right now currently in 2025 it sits at negative 3%. I don't know. I'm no Dave Ramsey, as y'all say in the chat, but you're not here to talk about investments. Let's get to it here. Everyone do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook, to all those social media pages. I got it, Brandon. If you're watching, listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every AYS show, as we mentioned earlier, is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app today. Do us a favor. We're 7 subs away on YouTube from getting to 13,000 subs. Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button down below. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let me get moving here. We're going to break this game down. Garrett Nussmeier getting benched. We need to talk about that. Oh, we got a hot board that we need to talk about as well, too. You don't come in here for investment talk. I don't know anything about investments. So you're not here for that. Let's get into some football. We do that next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick.
We're back.
So we are currently monitoring the LSU UNO game. LSU is completely just started dominating here. I'm hoping that Matt McMahon is able to really get this thing rolling. If they do, then we're going to shift our times to not be live while they are. As we're early in the season, we got a lot to talk about. We got to break down some football, got to get to a hot board, some intel that I got at the LSU baseball game versus Southeastern yesterday. We'll talk about that. Southeastern might be one of the better mid-major programs in the country based off of talent. They are really good right now. So we'll talk about that, but we got a lot to get into. So LSU went into Tuscaloosa this past Saturday, and they were unable to be victorious against the Crimson Tide here. And listen, what we do on every Monday is we recap the games here. And I want to break this game down into three parts. I want to talk about the first half. I want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier, parts of the second half, and then as part of the second half, talk about the defense, because I thought the defense played really good. So let's get into that right now. Offensively, you had multiple opportunities throughout the game to be able to not only win the game, but get out in front and really control the game against Alabama. The multiple opportunities that you had, the fourth down stop that West Weeks, got for you on the fourth down run on the direct snap to Jam Miller, the field goal, the missed field goal that you got to stop on, they multiple forced stops that they got and multiple punts that they were able to produce. But every single time that LSU defensively was able to get a stop, whether it be they get the fourth down stop, whether it be you have a missed field goal, whether it be that your defense, even though you've missed a field goal yourself, you're unable to capitalize. You know, the fourth down stop really set the tone for what I thought the defense was going to do the entire game. But you get the fourth down stop and you miss the field goal. Ramos misses wide left. You had put a decent drive together, and things looked promising as the drive was going on. You got Garrett out of the pocket multiple times. I thought Alex Atkins did a good job at mobilizing Garrett and only giving him a couple of reads and getting him outside the pocket to protect his offensive line. But you were never able, and you've never been able to this year, been able to seize momentum offensively. Every single time that your defense does something good, whether it be Ole Miss, and only holding them to 7 points in the second half, whether it be Vanderbilt and getting 2 straight 3-and-outs where you're unable to capitalize to tie the game, whether it be this past Saturday versus Alabama, when you are able to get multiple stops on fourth down or force punts against a really good offense and a guy in Ty Simpson who very likely can find himself in New York at the end of the year, you were never able to capitalize, and this has been a problem all season long. Guys, I go to the beginning of the year, and I look at the Clemson game. I look at the 5 interceptions that you recorded versus Florida, and you can't even score more than 13 points offensively. The defense has just as many touchdowns as you do against Florida when they produced 5 interceptions for you. And I don't want to go through the injury with Garrett. You are unable to score. But even with the 4th down stop, you're able to force another punt in the first quarter. And you get the ball back. And you're like, all right, man, this defense is, look, we didn't hit the field goal, but they keep making back-to-back stops for us. They keep making back-to-back stops. Then you call a really good play to Bauer Sharp, and then he fumbles. Every single time this year that this offense is needed to step up, they can't. Whether it be Garrett not hitting open receivers, whether the offensive line giving up pressure, whether you're just fumbling or your kicker from a short distance can't make a field goal, you can never capitalize. And guys, that is the reason why today, through 9 games, you sit at 5-4. You know, I want to come out and say that I'm very proud of how this LSU team played and how hard they played this past Saturday versus Alabama. You know, I look at the defense and only giving up 3 points in the second half. All of the stops that they got, the 1 on 4th down, then you had the missed field goal and forcing Ty Simpson and one of the better offenses in the country and limiting their production over and over again. I am proud of a defense that only gave up 50-plus rushing yards. I think it was 56 total on the day. And you kept stopping them over and over and over again to be able to produce an opportunity for your offense and for your team to win. I am proud at the level of fight that you showed on Saturday with what the last 2 weeks has been of nothing but pure chaos, whether it be with Brian Kelly, Governor Landry, Verge Alsbury, Dr. Roos, whatever it was, you played very hard, and I am proud of that. They didn't quit on Frank. They didn't quit on themselves. And guys, quite honestly, as a fan, they didn't quit on you. Even though the offense is really bad, I don't think that they quit. I just think that they're bad. But what frustrates me more than anything is that when I go back and rewatch these games, whether it be Alabama, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, I still think that you were talented enough in all the areas to have won all of those games. What frustrates me is that I do feel like that you were talented enough to be able to beat Alabama if you had a better play calling situation. I think you were talented enough if you could get a score at the end, and when you got to the 1 yard line against Vanderbilt to be able to punch the ball in. I feel like you would have seized momentum. Or against Ole Miss, when you made multiple stops and you have a chance to extend a lead against Ole Miss in the first half, you throw the ball into triple coverage and it gets picked. Guys, you're in all of these games. You're in the game versus Vandy. You're in the game versus Alabama. You're in the game versus Ole Miss. And what is the most frustrating part of all of this, and by the way, I left out A&M. You led against A&M at halftime. The frustrating part is that I see a team that's got enough talent. Maybe they're not a playoff team. Maybe they're not. But I see a team that's got enough talent that should be better than what their record reflects. And that is the more frustrating part, as we just discussed. During the Alabama game, you're making multiple stops. You're forcing punts. You got a 4th down stop. You produce another punt. They have a missed field goal. And you only got 3 points out of that. You know, you can look at the touchdown that made it 10-3 versus Alabama led when they got the 7-play, 75-yard drive and they scored and they went up 10-3. That team was always going to score a touchdown. They were always going to get points. But I even look at you offensively and say, I think you had enough. So what do I mean by that? Guys, I look at the situation with this LSU offense, and it is bad. But there's too many things that got missed. There were way too many plays that got missed versus Ole Miss. There were way too many plays that were missed versus Vanderbilt. There were way too many plays that were missed this past Saturday versus Alabama. And Greg McElroy, I thought on the telecast, did a beautiful job explaining it. Like, hey, man, Garrett, on the third down call, which we'll get to in just a minute, on the third down call that Frank Wilson was aggressive on, and you're staring down Xavier Thomas, you got to let it rip. They have no timeouts left. The one thing you can't do, by the way, in that situation is throw an incomplete pass. You can't do it. Now, I'm going to talk about the aggressiveness in just a moment. Everybody's been saying, I've been seeing a lot of you argued with me on social media today. Blake, it was a dumb call. They should have never risked it. You mean like Alabama did and the aggressiveness that they showed to go down there in 3 plays and score a touchdown? Get out of here with that. You don't beat a top 5 team on the road and play conservatively. You can't play to lose. You can't beat Alabama on the road and not be aggressive. That will definitely make you lose the football game. But guys, the truth of the matter is there's way too many things offensively, even though you have so many issues. Can't run the ball. Guys, neither can Alabama. Your offensive line gave up way too many pressures. So did Alabama. But the vast difference in all of this is that they made the right throws and right decisions when it mattered. Because there's always been way too many things that got missed. Ole Miss, Vandy, Alabama. So we could walk through, if we need to, the 4th down stop that led to no points. We can talk about the fumble of Bauer Sharp that led Alabama to getting a field goal. Guys, the drive after Bauer Sharp fumbled, the defense didn't allow a positive yard after that in that drive. Alabama had 3 plays for -2 yards. They lined up for a field goal and got it. Stop after stop after stop after stop, this defense produced for you. And the reason that you sit at 5-4 right now is for multiple reasons. Your quarterback, quite frankly, that we're about to get to in just a moment, misses way too many opportunities. He has regressed. You can't run the football. Well, I say that, but then you have a true freshman running back that yet again has another game where he's running the ball for over 5 yards a carry. You don't stick with it is probably what I should say. Harlem Berry's got to get 15 touches at minimum per game. That's not a Jones Sloan issue anymore. That's a Frank Wilson and Alex Atkins issue now. You didn't put yourself in the right spot when you got in the red zone to be able to convert and seize what was an opportunity that Blake Baker and this defense gave you that should have won you the football game. Guys, what pisses me off more than anything, you could have won that game. What frustrates me the most is I feel like through all of the chaos that you probably could have won the game and should have won it. As great as your defense played, you should have been able to capitalize better on the bad opportunities that either Alabama forced upon themselves or that this defense forced upon them. And you were unable to do it. But there were 2 big situations here that lost you the game, that ultimately got Garrett Nussmeier benched. Let's roll through the first half now, or the end of the first half. Right before the half, you had a 3-and-out. And the debate was, well, Blake, the score is 10-3. Alabama doesn't have any timeouts. Why are you trying to be aggressive there? You know why? Because you can't beat Bama if you don't score touchdowns. Because they got into a 3rd and 11 call. It was 3rd and 11 with 1:07 left to go in the game. And you called an in route on the backside to Xavier Thomas that was wide open. Garrett Nussmeier stares him down, does not throw him the football, scrambles, and throws an incompletion. Frank Wilson came up to the podium today after Saturday blaming himself for going for it because they made the right call. Alabama was in the defense that they predicted. They made the right call, and your quarterback, your 5th-year senior quarterback, did not throw the football. Now, I've heard from a lot of you saying, well, Blake, the coaches have to tell him the situation. You mean to tell me that you got to tell an end-of-the-half situation to a son of a coach, to a 5th-year starting quarterback, that the opposing team has no timeouts and that an incompletion will give them the ball back? I'm sorry. No, you don't. He should have known that. It's called situational awareness. The guy that everybody pegged in the beginning of the season as a Heisman Trophy contender, the son of a coach, has got to have situational awareness to either take a sack, run, or throw the ball to Xavier Thomas and get the completion. God forbid you get in field goal range. God forbid you make a field goal and you get the ball coming out of halftime, which you literally got a field goal that could have made it 10-9. I've heard from a lot of you that said, Blake, we should not have been aggressive in that situation. We should have ate the football, got out of the half, and got into the locker room. Guys, when everybody today has been telling me that we should not have been aggressive, Alabama gets the ball back after a 59-yard punt by Grant Chadwick. They get ultra aggressive and they score a touchdown, and you don't want to be aggressive yourself. Well, Blake, we're not Alabama. Guys, they had scored 1 touchdown on the day. Before that, you were able to stop them. Why would I think that my defense couldn't do it again? Alabama was literally aggressive and scored a touchdown, and if you make the right call, which you did, if you make the throw, which you didn't, you might have gotten points yourself. It was arguably one of the biggest non-throws that we've seen this season or in the last 2 years. You know, non-action is still an action. When Garrett did not throw that football, it was a bad decision. That's got to be converted. I do question if Michael Van Buren throws that football. After we saw in the second half with him throwing passes to Chris Hilton that were complete laser shots, the complete laser shot on 3rd and 11 that he hit Barrion Brown on for 20 yards, I question if Michael Van Buren is not able to lead you to a field goal there. It was one of the turning points of the game that led you to losing. Now, the non-action by Garrett killed you. It's 10-3, and even if you don't score, you don't give them the ball back. And even if you take a sack in that situation, they're not going to have enough time to score. They have no timeouts. It ultimately changed the game that could have been. But the very next time that you got the football is what basically ended it. It ended the game for you in a lot of ways. You're down 17-3. You give up the touchdown. You should have converted on 3rd and 11. Garrett doesn't throw the football. And you come out in the second half and you run 6 plays and you get 60 yards and you get into the red zone. It's 1st and goal from the 9-yard line. And LSU goes with the following plays, and this is the result of what happened. You have a 1st and goal where Harlan Berry gets a run for 1 yard. Nuss throws an in route to Barryon Brown that almost got picked off on 2nd and goal. On 3rd and goal, you're at the 8-yard line, and LSU gets up to the line of scrimmage with 12 seconds left, and somehow, some way, they have a delay of game penalty on them. Guys, these are inexcusable situations. Things that cannot happen for you to have any remote success. Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan are not in the building anymore for you to say and point the finger at them. This is an internal issue that continues to fluster itself over and over again. The one thing I will get on Frank about, when you got the head job, instead of playing a Tiger Bowl throughout a week, maybe you should have been prepping. I think that they were, but that's neither here nor there. How in the good wide world, on 3rd and goal, when you get up to the line of scrimmage with 12 seconds left as a quarterback, that you have a delay of game? How? Guys, it's inexcusable. The non-actions are killing you. The indecision making has killed you this season. Regardless, you take a delay of game. I probably would have called a timeout there, going back and thinking about it. Probably would have called a timeout because you only got 8 yards to go, but you take a delay of game. So you're lined up in 3rd and goal from the 12-yard line, and you're substituting wide receivers with 9 seconds left on the clock. Guys, Cortez Hankton has got to get the rotation piece of the wide receiver room stripped from him. How in the world, when you come out of Vandy, when you come out of A&M, and now you come out of Alabama, does he still have the autonomy and authority to rotate even though it's his position? How does he continue to have that authority when he's rotating guys in with 9 seconds left? Then on the 3rd and goal, LSU's got to call a timeout. That is on Cortez. That is on you, big dog. That is as piss poor of management as I've ever seen in my life. That's not on Garrett. The delay of game is, but rotating wide receivers in with 9 seconds left to go on the clock, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, Greg McElroy, when talking about this red zone possession, was making fun of the situation and goes, where in the hell's Trey'Dez Green? It's a great question. He wasn't in the game. And then you try to rotate him in, and McElroy starts laughing and goes, well, there he goes with 9 seconds left on the clock. That's on Cortez, man. He's over these rotations. 6 weeks ago, I went to a press conference, which I don't like doing because I don't think anything good comes from it. Brian Kelly or Frank Wilson's going to deflect those questions when you ask them. They're seasoned enough to deflect these questions. Brian Kelly was a master at deflecting questions. And I went and I said, hey, can we stop with these damn rotations from the wide receiver position? Oh, we're getting better. No, you didn't, and you got fired because of it. Guys, you had every opportunity to win this game, and that's the frustrating part. You get in 3rd and goal, and you got to call a timeout because you're not even at the line of scrimmage, and you're rotating receivers in and out. So dumb. Which then forces a 3rd and goal from your own 17. You should have run the football. I mean, at that point, you're so disjointed, you should have run the ball. But Alabama sends a three-man pressure. And Garrett Nussmeier hits a Booker T level spin-a-rooney and gets sacked instead of stepping up in the pocket and making the throw. Now, I went back today and watched that red zone possession. Our buddy Carter over at Power Hour has broken the end zone copy film down. I highly suggest that y'all go and watch it. If Garrett Nussmeier, even though all of this chaos had happened, even though you had the delay of game, even though you had to take a timeout, even though you had all of the chaos in the world that happened to you. Guys, if Garrett Nussmeier doesn't hit a 5-time WCW champion Booker T level spin-a-rooney to get sacked and steps up in the pocket, guys, he's got a wide open Xavier Thomas in the end zone for 7. He's wide open. The two biggest plays and two biggest altering plays of the game come by bad decisions from your quarterback. And it's what ultimately got him benched. This has been ongoing. The ball, let me back up one quick second. On the 3rd and goal on the timeout, the ball got snapped. Garrett already hit a spin-a-rooney. So he takes a snap, he saw some pressure, and while the whistle's getting blown, he hit a spin. He had already predetermined what he was going to do and didn't let the game come to him. Are there issues along the offensive line? Yes. Are there issues in the run game? Yes. Is there issues on the coaching staff? Yes. Is there issues at wide receiver with drops? Yes. Are there issues all over the place offensively? Yes. But when you have opportunities that are glaringly there, you got to seize them. You got to seize them. Now, here comes the part of the show that I'm assuming that a lot of you have been waiting for, considering all of you that have been here with me for a long time. Since the relaunch of AYS in 2019-2020 seasons, the biggest take that I have had that has given me the most pressure, meaning from comments, from fans, a lot of just crazy shit that I've taken in my DMs, the biggest, how do I want to say this? The biggest criticism that I have gotten while doing this show has always come on my opinions about what I thought of the play of Garrett Nussmeier. I've taken lick after lick after lick and didn't really, just kept going, didn't say anything, didn't respond, responded some when you came in the comments and you called me out for it. I responded to you. There has been no take that I have had while covering LSU that has gotten me more pushback and more criticism than my opinions on the play of Garrett Nussmeier, whether it be last year or this year. At the end of last year, and I have not shared this on this show or really publicly anywhere, it got so bad at the end of the 2024 season where I got a couple of buddies involved in this and had to, hey, make some people aware of some of the threats that I was getting behind this and behind a sports opinion. But guys, this was always a writing on the wall, because my takes about this offense coming into the season, whether I am at practice, whether I hear things that's coming out of that building, always revolved around the last two seasons, that from the quarterback position and from an offensive position side of things, it always was that I never felt like that they were prepared enough. Guys, I do not believe that Garrett, for what it's worth, has prepared himself enough to be able to take the steps necessary to be not only a good quarterback in this league, but an elite quarterback in this league. I know during the post-game show, there was a couple of super chats that came out in reference to the Gordon McKernan podcast, where Garrett says he doesn't wake up until 9, doesn't get into the facility until 10, 10:30, 11, whatever it is, and took a shot at a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Jane Daniels. I don't have to get there at 5 o'clock. He doesn't watch more film than me. Yes, he does. Guys, he's always, whether it has been from the 2021 season until now, the decision-making has always been a problem. Decision-making is always a reflection on preparation. If you are the most prepared guy that you can be, your decisions will give you the confidence needed to make the throws and to make the decisions that you need to make to be able to win games on the road versus number 4 Alabama. Guys, you could have won the game. If you make the throw to Xavier in the first half, at the end of the first half, if you make the throw to Xavier to start the second half, guys, there's a strong chance that you lead the game. And by the way, this defense only gives up 3 points in the second half. 3. So with all of the inconsistencies, with the bad offensive line, with the otherworldly and bad coaching that you had in certain situations in that game, you should have won. You should have won. If you make the right decisions to Xavier Thomas, guys, there's a strong possibility that you win that football game. There has been no bigger take that I've had about the interceptions last year from Garrett. Oh, it's a run game. Blake, Garrett Nussmeier doesn't have a run game. That's why all of the bad turnovers are happening. So glad you brought that up. Explain Ty Simpson to me. Explain Ty Simpson. Well, Blake, whatever do you mean? And I'm talking to myself in the third person. So glad you asked. Guys, Alabama's 119th in the country in rushing. They only average 112 yards in the country. Or they only average 112 yards per game. That led them to be 119th in the country in rushing. Ty Simpson is number 1 in the country in TD to interception ratio at 20-1. I don't want to hear it. And before you say, well, Blake, it's the play calling. Yeah, it very well may be. But it's also, I see the difference of Ty Simpson being a more prepared quarterback than what Garrett was. Garrett was not prepared. Whether regardless of what this show does and how mad some of you get at me, which is going to come of this, the truth of the matter was he was not prepared to seize the moment when the right calls were made. Guys, you have Xavier Thomas wide open twice on in routes, one that could have led to a first down and, God forbid, maybe a field goal, and then he's wide open in the end zone. 3 defenders on the 3rd and goal from the 18 converge in on Tre'Davious Green. 3, they were terrified that Tre'Davious Green was going to get the ball. That led to Xavier Thomas being wide open in the end zone. If you step up in the pocket and you make the throw, this happens. That happens. Touchdown, Tigers. It would ultimately lead to Garrett Nussmeier being benched. Now, in the postgame, I'm not going to roll through this a lot. But in the postgame, I said that I did not like the actions of Garrett once he got benched. I still do not. It's a tough place to be in. A very tough place to be in. But I ask any of you, if you want to go look at those actions and the things that he was doing when Michael Van Buren is battling his ass off to figure out how to score on the sidelines, go look where Garrett was. He wasn't next to Michael Van Buren, who's been by his side the entire season. Guys, the Garrett Nussmeier legacy is going to come down to one thing and one thing only. You know, we called him a gunslinger. We called him, you know, the Cajun Brett Favre, the Bayou Brett Favre. The true legacy of Garrett Nussmeier in his tenure, if he doesn't play another snap for LSU or if it's meaningless snaps, whatever it is, when we look back at the Garrett Nussmeier legacy, the question that I'm always going to ask, the multiple questions that I'm going to ask will be this. Did you prepare yourself enough to be able to do some of the things that you needed to do? You can't keep missing wide open targets and tell me that you've been prepared for the situation. You can't. Guys, the 9 interceptions or 9 turnovers, whatever it was, in the month of October last year, the indecisions that have happened this year have led to losses. It's not all on him. It isn't. And I will be the first to admit, it is not all on him. He is your highest paid player on this roster. He's your highest paid, and it's not close to who your highest paid player on this roster is. What frustrates me is that you had a defensive performance that should have won you this football game. Now, Michael Van Buren came in late in the third quarter. And listen, I'm going to be blunt with you. Moving forward, he gives you the best opportunity to win. The throws to Chris Hilton and the throw to Barrion Brown were 2 of the 3 best throws of this season. He is going to push the ball down the field. And the truth of the matter is, if he keeps playing in these next 3 games, he's going to turn the ball over. He's going to throw a pick. He is. But at this exact moment, I'm willing to live with a guy trying to constantly push the ball down the field to a receiver core that has the speed to get vertical for you to do that. I thought everybody, you know, for the stat watchers, the box score watchers, I look at a game and say, look, the stats do not bear out who played the better game. You got 3 drops for Michael Van Buren that have got to be connected on. Kyle Parker's got to catch both of those. He's got to catch both of those. But the mobility alone that Van Buren showed is the single reason why he's got to play moving forward. Can we see something in the next 3 games from this young man that gives you a spark to say, look, this entire coaching staff might not be here moving forward, and you might bring in a completely new regime? Does Michael Van Buren and can Michael Van Buren show you enough to say, hey, man, yeah, we might have to go in the portal for a quarterback because of the lack of depth, and Joe Sloan didn't recruit a 2026 quarterback, and you're really beat to shit at that position. Maybe you're right. Maybe all of that happens. Maybe you are 1,000% right. Could we find that we have a quarterback here? And it is Frank Wilson's duty to figure it out. We'll get to Frank Wilson's comments about the quarterback position later. I know the question of Michael Van Buren in the red shirt came up. I'm just going to say this. Whatever decision he wants to make is his decision. This is a lame duck season anyway. And if he wants to move on in red shirt, that's on him. I can't stop him, and I'm not going to control it. This is what I'd say. If Michael Van Buren was my son, and he is not, I'm telling him to start. If they tell me I'm the starter moving forward, I am telling my son to start moving forward. I'm telling him to start. Because you could be the starting quarterback for LSU if you show that you can do this. And I think that he can. He showed enough. the scrambles, the offsides, he was not put in the right position. And guys, it is really hard to come off the bench. And this offense only scored 3 points with him only in the game for 17 minutes. Could he have been able to find a score? I'm moving with him moving forward. So we can break down this game in its entirety. It comes down to 2 possessions here. The one before the half and the second in the start of the second half. You got to be able to convert that. Guys, it lost you the game, if we're being blunt. Could the defense have done some other things to slow him down? I guess. But they got you multiple stops that you needed in the first half. I don't mind Frank Wilson being aggressive. To be honest with you, I thought it showed a lot of nuts. You cannot go into Bama. You cannot go into a top 5 team's home stadium and play pussy ball. You can't. You cannot go in there and go, oh my God, we're going to be conservative. We're not going to play. We're not going to put the ball down the field. You can't play bitch ball. So all of you, we don't need to be aggressive. That's bullshit. This is LSU. We go and knock motherfuckers out. And that is the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And I'm not going to. So if you come with that take, don't come at it with me because I'm not listening to you. Again, what frustrates me the most, I thought you should have won. You had enough opportunities. You complete that to Xavier Thomas, even if you don't score. Even if you don't score, you hit Xavier Thomas at the end of the first half. You hit Xavier Thomas on the in route in the red zone. Ba-da-da-da. Guys, they scored 3 points in the second half. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. The level of pissed off that I am right now is at an all-time high. You can say, well, Blake, why do you even give a shit? It's a lame duck season because you could have won. You could have won. And I don't give a shit what you tell me. Just because you see this helmet over my right shoulder and people have made fun of it. By the way, I do a bigger national college football show than anybody on this fucking local beat. I don't like them. I don't care who in the hell the head coach is. I could care less. When we go off into Tuscaloosa, I want to knock their fucking teeth out. All 3 of the ones that they have remaining. I don't like them. You don't like them. Nobody likes them. Nobody. You should have won. You should have won. That's what makes me pissed off. You know why, too? And we'll talk a lot this week about Michael Van Buren. Guys, here's the truth. If you watch the game, your eyes told you who the better quarterback was. Don't come at me with that. What did one of you tell me in the chat yesterday or Saturday? Oh, I'm a fantasy football nerd. Get out of my face. What's a backside guard do to a 3-tech on opposite side zone? Get out of my face with that shit. You look at the game, you can tell it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. If my dumb ass can do it, you can see it too. Guys, this defense on Saturday, we haven't even talked about them, have been put in bad situations all season. In the keys to victory on Thursday, I came out here and said, I love this matchup for you. Thumbs up, thumbs down. No, thumbs up in the chat. No thumbs down. Thumbs up in the chat if you watch the keys to victory on Thursday. Thumbs up in the chat. What was the first thing that we talked about on Thursday? You tell me. Guys, I love this matchup for you. I think this defense is going to get after Ty Simpson. I think you're going to be able to get after him. Your secondary is going to perform at a high level, and you are going to limit them more than they've been limited by other teams. You're going to patty smack that ass when you need to, and they constantly got put in bad situations. If I would have told you 11 weeks ago, hey, guys, coming out of the Alabama game, this defense would be 19th in the country in scoring defense, you would have said, oh, Blake, we're going to the playoff. We're going to win the SEC. We're a number 1 seed. Brian Kelly, the GOAT. You would have been saying all of that, and look where you are right now. Did the defense have some bad performances this season? Yeah, so did A&M's. A&M gave up 40 points to Arkansas this year, and they're undefeated. The team you just lost to got punched in the mouth by Florida State, who barely can win a game, who just got their teeth kicked in by Clemson, a team that you just beat, or you beat in the beginning of the year. I don't know what to say about the defense. You played physical. Jacoby and Guillory, here's your flowers, big dog. Because I saw a guy in Jacoby and Guillory this season who was hungry coming off of a torn Achilles and dominated an interior Alabama offensive line who, quite honestly, and this is going to get me in trouble, is soft. They're soft. Want to know why Bama can't run the ball? That interior offensive line sucks. Bottom line, Blake Baker did his job. This defense did their job. Were you out of position? Did they beat you in some place? Yes. Guys, they could win the SEC. They 100% could win the SEC. And you still were right there with them because you had a really good defense. You allowed them to only 50-plus rushing yards. You dominated them in the run game. You dominated them. Secondary played great. A.J. Halsey, nobody's throwing the ball at Mansour Delane. P.J. Woodland, yes, he gave up a big bomb. Okay. He also was in elite coverage down the sidelines. God made a really good play on him. P.J. Woodland was on his receiver 9 times out of 10, like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm in the middle of buck-ass Alaska. He played great, and they weren't able to overcome it. Guys, I'm mad. If you can't tell, I am very mad because I saw a defense that played their asses off. I've seen a defense hold Ole Miss to 7 points in a second half that gave you the opportunity to win. I saw a defense who struggled against Vandy, but then got 2 3-and-outs for you to be able to win. I see an Alabama performance where they gave you every opportunity to win. And I was like, you know what, man? Okay, Ole Miss. Okay, Vandy. God, that sucks. They gave up a lot of points to A&M because that's going to happen. But then they do it for you again. They do it for you again. I'm not. From this point forward, they could give up 70 for all I care against Arkansas. I ain't saying shit about the defense. Not doing it. You're a really good team, man. You're a really good defense. Are you elite? No, you're not an elite defense. Guys, in 2023, you were in the hundreds in scoring defense. And in 2 years, Blake Baker has led this defense to 19th in the country in scoring. The only thing that matters is teams scoring. It's the only thing that matters. And teams have not been able to do it great. You're in the top 20 in scoring defense when 2 years ago, you were in the hundreds. And you're asking me, like, what do I think about them? Oh, well, they gave up a big play here. Guys, teams are going to hit big plays. I mean, for crying out loud, the 2019 team gave up 40-plus points versus Alabama, and they won a natty. It's going to happen. Great teams find multiple ways to win. And if you give up more than 17 or 20 points, this team can't win with Garrett Nussmeier as their quarterback. They can't. They can't. Offensively, you are flawed in so many areas. So many areas. But there's still too many opportunities that continue to get missed. All right. Let me get to a quick break. We talk about the hot board next. We talk about Frank Wilson and his quarterback comment. And I went to the LSU baseball scrimmage yesterday. Some intel on the coaching carousel that we picked up on. Is it too early to talk about LSU baseball? I don't think so. We'll do all that next. Stay with
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to the website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top. Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000-square-foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by.
LSU's opening up a can of whoop-ass on UNO. It's good to see. Good to see. I really hope Matt McMahon has a lot of success. Matt McMahon's a great person. An absolutely fantastic person. We had a super chat in here. Adrian Bailey with a $5 super chat says, Blake, it goes back to when JD5 was at LSU. You would always see Ricky and JD5 working out on videos, but not Nuss. No, I mean, you're right. Guys, look, I know that there was a Tiger drop. I got sent the Tiger droppings link. I got sent the On3 link, which I couldn't open the On3 link. I'm not a member there. But of me, getting bashed by fans in reference to, Blake Ruffino said that he doesn't prepare. Guys, the actions on the field show it. Then he goes on a podcast and takes a shot at Jaden Daniels. I didn't do that. He did. I don't want to get in the building at 5 a.m. Why not? Why don't you change something up? Anyway, speaking of quarterbacks, Frank Wilson met with the media today and said that Nussmeier would get the first team reps when they start practice tomorrow. I wonder if Frank Wilson's trying to pull the fast one on Arkansas. If Frank Wilson wants the full-time job, he's going to have to get the fan base behind him. And I just don't think that the fan base is going to back Garrett Nussmeier trotting out there. I don't think he gives you the best ability to win. I think you got to give Michael Van Buren an extended opportunity to try to win here. It is very difficult to come off the bench and do what he did, but guys, he's going to I look at a quarterback with Michael Van Buren the last 2 games and just say to myself, I see a quarterback that is not scared to make throws. I do wonder if Frank Wilson's trying to, if he's not trying to pull a fast one. Guys, Garrett's been benched the last 2 games. He's been benched. He got benched versus A&M, whether you want to admit that or not. Well, look, it's the end of the game. You're right. And he got benched last week. Michael Van Buren needs to get his first start of the season. If Frank wants his full-time job, he's gonna have to owe this thing. He's gonna have to get the fan base on his side, and rolling out Garrett Nussmeier is not going to do it. I disagree with him if he does. I disagree with him to start off the week that Garrett Nussmeier gets first-team reps. What does Garrett do? Does Garrett shut it down? Does he shut it down? Does he want to compete? I mean, all of those things I don't know. If I'm Garrett, I'm trying to go in there and compete. If you want to give it to me, go right on ahead. I'm going to keep competing. And I know that look, the thing about Garrett and all the things we just talked about, I saw a tweet from Michael Cobble today that I agree with. I love everything that Garrett stood for, staying here, whatever, and being an LSU Tiger, all of it. I admire that. I really, really, really do. However, it's not admiring a situation doesn't make wins. Frank can't do that. In my humble opinion, he can't do it. If he does it, I think it's malpractice. But that's just me. All right, let me move to this really quickly. So, hot board intel. So, stay with me here. Texas A&M beats Missouri 38-17 in pretty convincing fashion. And you're probably asking yourself, well, Blake, you're talking about a hot board. Why do you care about A&M and Missouri? Well, the reason I care about it is because things have become very interesting now with one Eli Drinkwitz. Drinkwitz's name has come up in multiple coaching searches over the last couple of weeks, whether it be Penn State, whether it be Florida, and to some extent LSU. I do think that Drink's name on somebody's list for LSU is on there. When I look at Eli Drinkwitz as an example, he was an OC and quarterbacks coach from 2016 to 2018 at NC State. He took his first head coaching job at Appalachian State in 2019 where they went 12-1, and then goes to Missouri during COVID, a really tough transition. He's got to build the roster. Back-to-back 10-win seasons at Missouri, which is absolutely insane. Now down to his third-string quarterback. And in his time in Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz is 44-27 and is 24-23 inside the SEC. Listen, as an offensive guy, I think the last couple of years, Drinkwitz has definitely put together a really good defense and scouted at a really good level. I think when you ask me about Drinkwitz, he has an attitude about him that would fit some things that this place could be. I think he's constantly going to work his ass off. I think that what we've seen from Missouri at the current moment is that they do better than a good job. They do an elite job at scouting, which has been missed in today's college football. They have been able to scout lower-ranked players, develop them from within, attack the portal, and defensively, guys, they are demonstrative. They are really good. They've had some offensive issues this year. Bo Prabula goes down. Sam Hubbard goes down. And now they're to a true freshman quarterback in Zollers, which I don't know how you look at that situation. I do think that for what it's worth, Drinkwitz, who is an offensive-minded guy, a former play caller, of all of these play callers, has taken more of a CEO role the last couple of seasons, bringing in guys like Kirby Moore, bringing guys in like Blake Baker and others. I do think Drink would do a really good job here. So, what does that mean? Yesterday, I was at the LSU Southeastern baseball game. And, there's a lot of people from an LSU perspective that were there. And my son and I, Ben, were there, and we, stopped and had some conversations with people. And I'm going to tell you, I do think Drinkwitz's name is going to constantly come up in this. Because what if Lane Kiffin stays? What if he goes? What if he goes to New York or goes to Florida? What if he goes to New York? There's a chance in a world where Lane Kiffin doesn't come here. So then who is your second, third, and fourth options down the list? And I think Eli Drinkwitz, for just some things that I pick up and some conversations that I had yesterday, he will be there. I do have my worries with Drinkwitz. The last two seasons at Missouri, they are 0-6 against ranked opponents. So to some extent, kind of the same situation that you were in with Brian Kelly and not being able to have success versus ranked opponents. It's a worry for me. I think if he does not get an offensive coordinator and really a DC, that there can be some worries, but I do think that the hunger is there. I do think that they scout at an elite level, and he's done a really good job. At Missouri, he doesn't have the resources that you would provide. I don't know if he would leave Missouri. You're going to have to get past, if he's your next head coach, some of the snarkiness. But, man, Nick had a lot of snarkiness to him. He had a lot of asshole in press conferences and things that he did. I don't mind that, to be quite blunt with you. However, I'm just going to sit here and tell you his name is going to be in those conversations. As this moves on, Lane Kiffin came out today and stated that when you look at a program from a coaching perspective in today's game, you look at a situation where how much money do you have in NIL? It's not about facilities. How much, do you have national championships? Do you have Heismans? It's about money and winning, which is really what it's about in the NFL too, if we're being honest. Winning and money. I would not hate Drink. I do think that this place is maybe could overwhelm him to some extent. I don't think people realize truly what they're getting themselves into when they sign up. I will say that Lane Kiffin's comments today, though, in saying this, did make it sound a lot like LSU. It also made it sound a lot like Florida and what Florida is about. I do think that Lane Kiffin will continue to be your top target until he tells you no ultimately. But there are going to be guys like Eli Drinkwitz that will be in that mix. There are things offensively that worry me, not the run game, though. They have built a team at Missouri, right, wrong, or indifferent, that is a very physical team. They are downhill in your face. They ran the ball for over 200 yards on Texas A&M last week, or on Saturday, when you could barely throw the ball for over 200 yards. I think if given the opportunity, Eli Drinkwitz could do some interesting things here. Could do some very, very interesting things. If you're asking me yet again, what I want is I want a play caller. If all shit broke loose, I want a play caller on either side of the ball. I don't like that Brian Kelly never got involved, or it took him too long to get involved. It was lazy. It was very lazy. And Eli has that background. And as I said 3 weeks ago, and I'll say again today, I do think the game is changing to where unless you are a play caller, high-level play caller CEO, these CEO archetypes haven't had a lot of success. Brian Kelly, Dabo Swinney, The ones that have are the CEOs that have massive amounts of experience calling plays and have their own system in place. Drink falls into that. So whether you like Eli Drinkwitz or you don't think he could fit here or you do, he would do some interesting things here. They have 3 losses and they're out of the playoffs. And if you want a head coach by the beginning of December, before that signing period, Eli Drinkwitz is going to be available. The question becomes, do you want to go that route? And there's no doubt about it that if given the opportunity, I think Eli Drinkwitz would be here because Missouri ain't like that. Can he hire elite coordinators? I do think that they would recruit and develop really well from within. He's done a very, very good job at recruiting. Drinkwitz does not get that cachet about him when people bring him up. So it will be interesting. All right. Last but not least, we've gone a long time here, an hour and 30 minutes. Yesterday, I went to the LSU Southeastern scrimmage. My son and I, Ben, stayed for game 1, and I got a couple of key takeaways. Number 1, let me start off with Southeastern. Guys, they are going to be one of the better mid-major programs in the country, without a doubt. They have arms for days. They had a couple of arms that they rolled out that could easily play at LSU. If you don't believe me, ask Jay Johnson, and I know exactly the words that Jay Johnson would tell you about what he saw at Southeastern. That is one of the better mid-majors, if they stay healthy, in the country. They got a lot of arms. They have taken some Tennessee transfers. They have taken some high-level D1 transfers that didn't pan out, then got developed and kind of blossomed. They got an elite shortstop. They led the Southland Conference in hitting a year ago. Keep an eye out on Southeastern. The only team right now that I think that could beat them in the Southland is themselves and them not being healthy. The level of arms that they have is ridiculous. The level of arms that you have is ridiculous too. I talked to Mike Evans, Casey Evans' dad, before the game, and we just chatted it up, and he was talking about how, him and his experience in baseball, he thinks the same. Guys, the arms that you have and that we saw yesterday, Grant Fontenot came in throwing 96, 97. The back end with him and Devin Sheeran is going to be absolutely insane. But I come away with all of this with 2 main thoughts. York at first base is a dog. I'm calling him the Panda. The big man at first base is called the Panda. I was sitting in the front row down the third base line, and I'm telling you, the plays that kid made defensively, he had a home run in the bottom or the top of the first, a 2-run bomb, line drive out in right field. He turned a double play. He picked a couple of balls. Kung Fu Pandas at first base. So you had the bear, now you have the panda. Skadoosh. You got a really freaking good baseball team this year, man. Really good one. I see a comment, how did Gavin Gidry do? He did not pitch. And to be honest with you, I don't know how many opportunities he may get this year. He might get a lot. Dog, we have arms. This team's going to be really freaking good again. It's Jay Johnson. What do you expect? Zach York might be one of the best players in college baseball. He has had a hell of a fall. So it's really fun, and I'm sure that we'll reference it and talk about it a little bit more. But it was really, really good day, and my son Ben had an exceptional time being around both baseball programs. The hospitality that all you showed that you were there to my son Ben, I greatly appreciated. It was really, really, really fun. All right. Any super chats, Brandon? No super chats? All right. We're out of here. We ran long. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.